everybody. Welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com. Happy Wednesday morning and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. I'm Erik in Medellin, Colombia, and AJ is not with me today, but we are going to be checking in with him in just a few minutes. He took off last week on a last-minute award ticket to Sao Paulo, Brazil, to attend a wedding. And so we've got kind of a interesting story. We're going to talk a little bit about the redemption itself, because this was one of those scenarios that was pretty tricky to actually get the ticket. It's just like one of those very, very hard availability situations. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And also AJ had a bit of what we like to call a character builder with his immigration process. So anyways, we'll check in a few minutes on that front. In the meantime, I want to cover some news and updates from around the Points and Miles world. And show notes for this week's show are going to be at abroaders.com/fee free. And that's because at the end of the show, I want to share a couple of annual fee negotiations. I've got audio of a couple of the calls. And the annual fee is just a question that we're getting a lot lately, and it's a perfectly legitimate one because it's great to get a bunch of bonus points, but most of the time that fee is just waived for the first year. And so it's a big question for folks that are getting started. What can I do to avoid that annual fee? And the truth is it's generally way easier than you think it is. So I want to share a couple of calls and my takeaways from those. But first and foremost, let's get to news and updates. First up, we have a change in the policy from Chase about the annual fee. So really good segue here. Chase traditionally has had a time window of somewhere between 60 and 180 days, depending on which card you have, for you to be able to dispute that annual fee and get a full refund. And so generally, that means that if 45, 50, 60 days after the annual fee posts, you can still call Chase and cancel the card or downgrade to a no fee card or negotiate and get that fee waived. And so they've just made an unannounced change that requests for the annual fee and or cancellation or downgrade to another card need to be made within 30 days of being billed. So it's a little bit more restrictive. Most of the other banks are in the 30 to 60 range. So it's not a huge difference there, but definitely something that you want to be aware of. You just don't have quite as much flexibility about when you dispute the annual fee. But I will say that I think it's a really common misconception that people feel like they need to do something about the annual fee before it posts. And that's one of the things that's absolutely not true. So in general, with annual fees for these rewards cards, you're actually at a disadvantage if you try and deal with the annual fee before it's actually on your bill. So there's a bit of an advantage because the agents that are taking those reconsideration calls or taking those calls about potentially closing an account, often they can't do anything until the fee actually posts. And then at that point, they might be able to give you a statement credit or be able to otherwise soften the blow a little bit. So anyways, be aware, Chase has just announced this rule and it's effective immediately. So if you've got an annual fee posting on any of your Chase cards, you need to take action within 30 days. Next up, we have a new credit card product that has been announced by Chase. This is pretty exciting. First of all, it's not available yet, and we don't have a firm date on when this is going to happen. But Chase has just announced the Ink Business Preferred Card, which has a couple of cool and unique benefits. So I'm going to dive into what this card offers. But honestly, it's pretty similar to the Chase Ink Plus card. And so the huge benefit here is that it's a totally separate credit card product. meaning that if you've already had the Chase Ink Plus, it is possible for you to get this card, although it does look like the card is going to be subject to the 524 rule, just like most of the other Chase products. So they have announced that this card is going to come with an 80,000 ultimate reward point bonus after 5,000 spend in 90 days. There is a $95 annual fee, which is waived for the first year. And there's a couple of cool bonus categories. So this card is going to get 3x on the first $150,000 spent on the following categories. So travel, shipping purchases, advertising, and internet, cable, and phone service. And so I think a reasonable comparison probably is the Amex Business Gold card. And that card is pretty powerful because you can receive 3x on one of the categories that you choose, and you get to pick the 3x category with the Amex Business Gold. However, the rest of the categories that you don't choose as your 3x become 2x, and it's only on the first 100,000 in spend. So this is a pretty competitive product. I think number one, for folks that purchase a lot of travel for business purposes, that's a big win. Obviously, the Chase Sapphire Reserve also has 3x on travel, but to me, the advertising is a pretty big deal for small business owners. Lots of folks are doing Facebook and Google ads, so this is an opportunity to get some big return on your advertising spend. And this is the first time, to my knowledge, that another card offering a currency that's not Amex membership rewards has actually been eligible for a significant bonus category on purchases for advertising, online advertising. And so one of the big things is if you do happen to have a business where you spend on online ads, probably if you're doing well with that, 100,000, the limit of the amount of spend that you can get the 3x with the Amex Business Gold, is probably not going to cover your full year if you're really churning things along. So this can be a nice opportunity to get a second card that also earns big time return on ad spend and does so in a different currency. Last but not least, and this is by far the most unique benefit, is that the new Ink Business Preferred card is going to actually offer cell phone protection. So there is a $100 deductible, but it protects against theft and damage if you pay for your cell phone service with the credit card. So in other words, if you've got an expensive phone, lots of people, iPhones, there's a ton of things that can happen to those. I've probably ruined like 4 iPhones of my own. And so this is definitely a card that I want to take advantage of just for that. Just pay your cell phone bill with the card, and you've got insurance with a $100 deductible. So that seems like a super good deal. Again, the offer is not yet available, so there's no way to sign up just yet, but we will let you know as soon as there is. But I guess the bottom line is that I wanted to get the word out because a lot of folks are close to 524. And so it looks like this card is going to be under the Chase application restrictions. And so if you're in a position where you maybe only have 1 or 2 more cards that you can open before you won't be eligible for Chase cards unless you wait a while, this particular product might be one that you want to save room for. I know I'm personally at 424, so I've got 1 more application. I was considering a couple of other cards, even from other issuers, but as soon as I saw that this one was coming out, this is definitely one that's on my list I want to make sure I get. And so I'm going to hold off on any other applications. Hopefully it doesn't take too long for this card to come out. So while we're on the topic of credit card offers, just a quick reminder that the increased Delta sign-up bonuses with the Delta Gold Amex and the Delta Platinum Amex and their business card counterparts, we've got just over a week left. Remember, the Platinum versions, both business and personal, are 70,000 miles. And you also have a chance to earn some elite qualifying status, some medallion qualifying miles with that sign up. And both of those, the personal is a $3K spend in 90 days, the business is $5K. Both of them have a $195 annual fee not waived for the first year. So those are going to be going away in about a week. I think the deadline is November 9th for the Platinum version of both of those cards. And Delta Gold is at a 50,000 point bonus, which is still pretty good. Typically the bonus is 30,000 after 1,090 days. So you get an increased sign up bonus, only 2,000 spend. So pretty manageable for most folks, I think. And the other thing about these cards is both of them have a Delta statement credit, which is really, really easy to miss. The rule is that you have to use the card to buy something from Delta within the first 90 days. If you get one of the platinum versions, you get a $100 statement credit. And if you use one of the gold versions, you get a $50 credit. And so if any of you guys have already jumped on this, I know this is probably one of the top offers, and we're recommending it to a lot of folks who have travel plans that make sense, that can be accessed by Delta Miles and SkyTeam. We're making a lot of recommendations for this card. So if you've just opened this account, make sure that you use that statement credit. Even if you don't have to buy something from Delta, it's super easy to buy a Delta gift card, and that will take care of it for you. So in other words, if you got the gold card, go to delta.com, buy a $50 gift certificate and pay for it with your new Delta Amex, and you're going to get that $50 back. So it's free money, but you want to make sure you do it, because if you miss out and you wait till after the 90 days, that statement credit goes away. And the last thing to keep in mind here is that the business version of both of these cards, so the Delta Gold Business and the Delta Platinum Business, should not count towards 524 with Chase. And that's because Chase is not counting business cards with other issuers. So it looks like they are counting their own business cards, but not business cards from Amex. So that's a freebie. If you are close to 524, maybe waiting on that Chase Inc. preferred business card, this could be a possible way that you can grab some extra points from Amex, use some extra Delta Sky Miles, and not have to worry about putting yourself any closer to the 5 opened cards limit with Chase's new application rules. All right, so that wraps up the news about credit card offers. I've got a couple of other stories I wanted to make sure that we cover quickly. So in program news, we've got an enhanced way to search for SkyTeam availability. Delta's website is pretty good. It's a pretty easy, free way to search most of the other airlines in SkyTeam, but there are some important exceptions, especially Air Europa, which is, lots of people are traveling to Europe. Czech Airways, which is also good options for Europe. Both of those are missing from Delta's site. And there's a couple of other ones that Delta also can't search. And so Expert Flyer has now expanded to be able to cover all airlines in SkyTeam. It's a pretty good interface. And so I will say it's a paid service. If you're searching for an award ticket, there's absolutely no reason not to give it a try. They give you a 3 or maybe 5 day free trial. And by the way, that free trial depends on your email address. So if you've got a few different emails, you may be able to get a few different free trials. Don't tell them I told you that. But honestly, great company, really doing an awesome job. And if you're looking for an award ticket, it totally makes sense to pay $10 to be able to search for a whole month. And it's just awesome to have SkyTeam availability. The other really nice thing is that Expert Flyer offers alerts, meaning that you can tell the system how many seats you're looking for on what flight, and as soon as those seats become available, they are going to send you an email and let you know. So definitely worth checking out. Last up for news and updates, I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of a 20% bonus when converting Marriott rewards to American Airlines miles. Now, generally, these types of deals are terrible deals, and these bonuses with the hotel miles are crap. And most of the time we skip right over them. But you may remember we mentioned this about United a few episodes back, and this is actually a pretty awesome deal. So remember, first and foremost, if you have Starwood Preferred Guest points, those transfer at a 1-to-3 ratio with Marriott, meaning that 1 Starwood point becomes 3 Marriott points. And so that's a really big deal. If you've been saving up Starwood Preferred Guest points, you can actually leverage this Marriott promotion with American Airlines to get a super good deal and really get more points than you could normally with your SPG. So for reference, Starwood Preferred Guest is a transfer partner of American Airlines. And so when you transfer 20,000 star points, no matter which airline you transfer to, you get a 5,000 point bonus. So 20,000 SPG becomes 25,000 American, and you can continue to do that in increments of 20,000. So with this bonus, 90,000 Starwood Preferred Guest points can actually become 144,000 American Airlines miles. And you're going to get a 7-night Marriott stay to boot. So for those of you that were paying attention to the math a second ago, 90,000 star points traditionally turns into 110,000 American miles. So here's the deal. Marriott has a very, very cool use of points, which is called hotel and flight. Not a very creative name in my opinion, but it is straightforward. And basically, you convert your Marriott points, you get a 7-night stay at a category 1 to 5 hotel, and you get a bunch of airline miles to boot. So it's essentially a package. You're going to get your points that you can use to book the travel to the hotel, and you get a bunch of nights at the hotel. And traditionally, the package will come out to, and by the way, there's different tiers of this, so we're going to post in the show notes a link that's got some of the tables that shows you what your different options, depending on how many airline miles you actually need. But all of these packages come with a 7-night Marriott stay. And traditionally, if you transfer 270,000 Marriott points, you will get 7 nights and you'll get 120,000 American miles. So with this 20% promo, it actually comes out to 144,000 American miles. And the big thing now, 270,000 Marriott points sounds like a lot, but because of that 3-to-1 transfer ratio with Starwood, you can turn 90,000 Starwood points into 270,000 Marriott miles instantly. And then you can redeem for 7 nights at a Marriott hotel and get 144,000 American miles to boot. So this is definitely a really powerful opportunity, and one that if I had enough Marriott points or if I had enough SPG points, I would be jumping on right away. Again, keep in mind, typically you're going to get 1.25 American miles per Starwood point, and this opportunity bumps that transfer ratio up to 1 to 1.6 American miles. So definitely a good deal. It's even a good deal if you literally throw away 7 nights for free at a Marriott hotel and just make the conversion. You're still getting a better deal. So definitely worth keeping in mind, and this one is available through November 14th. So take a look and jump on that if you've got an opportunity, and hopefully you can use that 7-night stay, because there's a lot of good category 1 through 5 properties with Marriott, and definitely worth trying to use that if at all possible. All right, that's going to do it for news and updates. All right, so now we're going to check in with AJ in Sao Paulo. How's it going, man?
Man, going well. Sunday here. Last night was the wedding. Was the reason I came to Sao Paulo. Had quite the adventure here, but there's some decent takeaways to share. Some teachable moments. I learned some lessons on multiple things, from immigration to Booking.com to lounge access. It's pretty action packed as far as stuff that's relatable to the podcast as far as content goes.
Yeah, not necessarily the smoothest itinerary. Let's start at the top. So from the very beginning, we had some trouble getting this booked. In fact, both of us have been looking at flights to Brazil between now and Christmas for quite some time, and it was super challenging to find anything from Colombia onwards to Sao Paulo. And this is one of those things where often if you really don't want to buy a paid ticket, you are subject to some pretty crazy layover times. And you actually got to try out a new airline using Delta Miles, which I don't think either of us have flown.
Yeah, exactly. So I flew Aerolíneas Argentinas, which was a really nice experience. So actually we pieced together 2 awards for me to get to Sao Paulo. We booked a British Airways award for 4,500 points from Medellin to Bogota, and that was on LATAM. And then from Bogota, my itinerary was Bogota to Buenos Aires to Sao Paulo, and that was on Aerolíneas Argentinas. And I had like a really long layover, like a 13-hour layover in Buenos Aires, which I was actually, it worked out great because it's a city I hadn't been to in a couple of years. It's a city I know. It's a city I like. So I thought, it'll be cool. I'll get, a cheap studio apartment or something for the day, take a nap, get some work done, go out, grab a steak, glass of wine, then march on to Sao Paulo. So that's like the high level. That was the itinerary there, but it wasn't exactly the smoothest thing.
No, well, I mean, even from the very start. So we actually booked your return trip using British Airways as well, and it was a one of those things where I had to book 2 separate reservations, and somehow on AJ's Medellin to Bogota itinerary, I accidentally booked the ticket in my name. And you got to watch out for that, because especially if you have a family account with British Airways, it automatically defaults to whoever owns the points. And I was just in a hurry and didn't even notice. So we booked a ticket for me instead of for AJ. Had to call British Airways. Fortunately, it was within that 24-hour window where you can make those changes for free. Tell me about the rest of the journey. I guess let's start with the immigration experience in Colombia.
Yeah. So, not my finest hour. So when I got to Bogota, it completely slipped my mind that I was going to have to deal with immigration. I know that's just so stupid, but my main concern was, I'm like, okay, I've got my Brazilian visa and this separate passport that is no longer valid. So I was just reminding myself, just don't forget the damn thing, because you need that to get into Brazil. So I had my valid passport with me. I had my expired passport that had my Brazilian visa in it. So I was like, okay, I'm good to go. I got my valid passport. I got my Brazilian visa, which they're going to need to see for me to get on the flight, and I'm going to need to enter Brazil. But the minor detail that I forgot about was I've got 2 valid U.S. passports. And the one valid U.S. passport I used to enter into Colombia was not the one I brought with me. So I showed up to immigration in Bogota with just a mystery passport with no entry. So these guys were like, how did you enter here? And they pulled up the file, and they were showing me that it was my other passport number. And I knew that they were not gonna let me do anything if I just told them, you know what, you're right, I don't have my passport that's the one that I used to enter, give me a break, huh? I knew that was not gonna work. So not my proudest moment, but I just played dumb and just pretended like I didn't know how it was possible that they had the other passport on file. It's possibly a technical glitch or something. This is my passport. I use it. I've got the second thing here for my Brazilian visa. And after about 45, 50 minutes and 5 or 6 different people, I held the line on my story, and then they just finally stamped me, and then they wrote in handwriting on it, entered with different passport, and they just let me go.
Wow. So maybe not the end of the story even. We'll see what happens when you come back to Colombia on this other passport. Hopefully I don't have to go meet you at immigration with the other passport.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I think if I exit on the one that I entered with, there should be no problems. And I think getting back to Colombia will be okay, because I got stamped out. So that's like the most recent piece of my relationship being a gringo in Colombia. They said, okay, this guy, they signed off on me leaving the country. So I'm assuming
now it's that guy's fault at the very least. It's like, hey, they said it was okay. They let me go. I got all my stuff here in Colombia. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay. So that was interesting. And then that was only the beginning of the adventure. One thing that was pretty nice, though, is in Bogota, like you had mentioned, really modern airport, the lounge. I was hanging out at the Avianca lounge, and it was really nice. It was everything I needed: Wi-Fi, get some work done, grab a few whiskeys, get a snack. So that was a good situation.
And now, was that one of the Priority Pass lounges?
Yes, that was a Priority Pass lounge. So there's 3 cards now? 3 cards that give you the benefit of having Priority Pass: the Amex Platinum, the Reserve, and then the City Prestige.
Yeah, and so that's really nice. I like the airline lounges often a lot more than it depends on which airlines, I guess. But Avianca does a really nice job for their business class passengers, and a lot of times those are better than sort of the contract lounges that are Priority Pass and not affiliated with any particular airline.
Yeah, the thing that was really clutch about it, there was plenty of space. It wasn't overcrowded. You didn't have to fight to find a chair. You didn't have to fight to go get yourself a glass of wine or something. It was really spacious. It was not overcrowded. So that was really nice. And then I'm off to Buenos Aires, caught the red eye. I got in around 4 a.m. I don't even know if it's worth getting into the details about my Booking.com place, but it was botched up. I got an email saying, hey, your place isn't ready, but we've got another place that's comparable. And to give people some context, I rented like a pretty nice studio apartment just for the day to take a nap and get work done on my 13-hour layover. I show up to this new address they told me about, and it's a sweet but very elderly and kind of confused woman that is kind of running this little side business, renting out a room in her apartment. And it was just not a nice accommodation. It was not comfortable. Just like everything about it. And so I showed up at 4 a.m., just got completely blindsided by this very sweet old lady, but just wasn't what I signed up for. I was expecting it, because the porteros took me up, and they're like, I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I was expecting. It was like kind of like an apartment slash hotel where there's like the porteros, like the attendants down at the reception. And I thought, oh, they'll just go show me my room. We get up there, we knock on the door, and then this old lady answers the door, and like, it was just an awkward situation.
Interesting, man. By the way, for
Yeah.
anybody who's not following Portero, that is the doorman. Or in most Latin American countries that I've visited, most buildings, residential buildings, have 24-hour security, and there's a guy that hangs out at the door and makes sure you're supposed to be there. And boy, those people are awesome. We can save this for another story, but I had about an hour and a half conversation with our Portero here at the Soto Verde building here in Medellin, and it was just a great conversation. Had a really good time.
Yeah, man. The porteros are typically great people, and they're also, I mean, if you're living in one of those complexes, I mean, you see them every single day. They're the Johnny on the spot. They're the people that, you know, open the gate for you. Not like you need somebody to physically open the gate, but these are like gated communities. That's what we'd consider them in the U.S. So they, you know, swing the gate open, unlock it for you. So you see these guys all the time. That's great, but just an interesting experience. So I guess we can fast forward to another interesting thing I learned. So the airport in Buenos Aires has a Centurion lounge, but I did not have my Amex Platinum card with me because I've made a point recently. It slipped my mind, but I try not to just travel with things I don't need, especially you know, in a place where I might lose something, or getting robbed is not a likely thing, but it's you know, happened before to me. So outside of the U.S., the Centurion lounges use a different like database and a different system. So these people couldn't look me up, but they were really helpful. And all I had to do was I just called Amex Platinum, the number that would be on the card. I just Googled it, and then the Amex Platinum American people spoke to the people at the lounge, and through a secured Amex like internal corporate chat, they sent the card number to the people so they could you know, put it in their system the way that they would have to enter a foreigner's card in the system. It took like only 5 minutes. So
wow.
Got to hang the Centurion Lounge in Buenos Aires, and it was really nice. It was, you know, what you'd expect. They had the locally inspired cuisine. So they had some good meat, a lot of good stuff. Comfortable. Obviously, it beat the hell out of hanging out, you know, with everybody else without Wi-Fi and with the scarcity of chairs and seating. So really good experience. So now
that's great news. I really didn't realize that any of the outside of the U.S. Centurion lounges were really up to the par of the U.S. versions. I mean, the only one I've been to is in Sao Paulo, and it's abysmal at Guarulhos Airport. It's super cramped.
Yeah,
no food.
I remember that one. It's not good.
They're tarnishing the Centurion name for sure.
Yeah, no, the one at EZE in Buenos Aires was legitimate. I would compare it. I would put it in between Miami and LaGuardia. So Miami's is probably a little bit newer. LaGuardia's is, I think, a little bit older. But yeah, I mean, it was really solid. I mean, the service was great. They had, you know, a tremendous range of drinks and snacks, and it was comfortable. Showers, everything, you know, it was a really solid lounge. And I mean, it was a little bit more crowded than the Avianca lounge at Bogota, but it was definitely worth it, because I had about an hour and a half to kill. So I connected with you from that lounge. We did some credit card recs, got some food, got a couple of drinks before I headed over to Sao Paulo.
Great, man. Well, I guess have a great rest of your trip in Sao Paulo. I will see you back here Tuesday. Is that right?
Tuesday.
Good checking in with you, man.
Oh yeah, man. Great to hear from you.
Talk soon. All right, so if you made it this far, I've got a couple of annual fee negotiations to share with you. Nothing particularly special about these calls, but I think honestly that's the point, is that this is something that's really easy and straightforward to do. The worst case scenario is that somebody says no, and let's face it, that happens all the time in life. But honestly, as far as our community has reported back to us, we have been tracking this for more than a year now and just relying on self-reported data points, and well over 60% of these calls result in flat out getting the fee waived. There's certain cards that are easier than others, certain banks that have different ways of doing things, and that's actually why I wanted to share this Citibank call, because Citi in this case actually offered a sort of mini spending challenge. So a lot of times getting either a statement credit or getting some bonus points that make it worth paying the annual fee is contingent on making some sort of, it's sort of like a mini sign-up bonus. So you've got a sort of a required spending. And in this case, the city officer, the lending officer, offered me a $95 statement credit, but only if I spent $95. So just a little wrinkle, a little bit different, but pretty straightforward call and actually quite easy. It seemed like this guy maybe was a little bit new, maybe a little bit nervous, which probably doesn't hurt. But anyways, have a listen.
Okay, and I'm sorry for the hold, Mr. K. My name is Alex, and I'm located in Florida. I'll be helping you for the rest of this call, okay?
All right, thanks, Alex. You can just call me Eric. It's fine.
Okay, Eric, no worries. And I do thank you for your 3+ years of business with our American Airlines Platinum Card. Now, I noticed that your membership fee has come about on the account. Again, is that the reason you're contacting us today, maybe?
Yeah, it is. To be honest, I'm just kind of in a tight spot this year financially. So it's kind of forcing me, I really do like this card, and I feel like I've had a really good relationship with Citi over the last few years. So it's not really one that I want to close, but I'm just in a much more challenging spot financially this year than I have been in the past. And so I was just hoping you guys could do something to help me out.
Okay, yeah, we'd definitely like to assist if we can, sir. I'm showing you what we can do is to simply give you a $95 credit on your account after $95 in purchases within the next month.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, sir. So I'm going to give you the full details on that, and I'll get it applied to your account for you. So it says, to complete this offer, please be advised of this important information. With this offer, if you make $95 or more in purchases within the next month, you will receive a one-time $95 statement credit. Would you like to accept this offer?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Alex.
Okay, so you're very welcome, sir. That's enrolled, and that will give you until October the 21st there, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. Let me write that down as the date here. October 21st, you said.
Yeah, October 21st, and you just need $95.
Okay, that sounds great. By the way, I was just out of curiosity, are there any offers on the account for bonus points with additional spend? I'm actually kind of in a spot where I've got some extra spending I wanted to do, but I do have another card that has like a bonus. I was just wondering if there's anything. I know in the past sometimes you guys have those, and I just haven't been able to get anything. I haven't been receiving my paper mail at home. So, is there anything like that attached to the account?
Well, what I would say is after you actually receive your $95 credit, sir, I would say check with us because currently I wouldn't be able to give you any additional miles on top of the credit here.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but we should going forward, since you have a platinum level card, it usually has pretty good offers as far as earning additional miles. So yeah, going forward, I'd say after you get your credit, you should give us a call back here. Maybe we have some bonus miles or something that that we can add to the account that will add a little more value there for you. At the moment, I don't have any bonus miles that I can give you here. But yeah, once you take advantage of this offer, we should have, different offers down the road.
That sounds good, man. Well, I really appreciate your help. That made a big difference for me. So thank you so much, Alex.
No problem, Eric. Anything else I can assist you with?
That's it. Have a great day.
All right. You do the same.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. And so this next call is for my Starwood Preferred Guest business card. And as we've talked about Starwood quite a bit recently, it's been in the news a lot. Starwood points are super valuable, so this was definitely a card I did not want to close either. And I think the key takeaway from this interaction is just that the lady told me flat out at the very beginning that they can't waive the annual fees. And I think you could just kind of hear, she was super friendly, and you can just kind of hear her waiting for me to give up. And I think that's honestly what a ton of people do. And it's so easy to just ask them, hey, make some small talk for a second, ask if there's any other way, could we downgrade this to another card? And that's exactly what I did. I sort of took that tack and tried to see if there were other options besides waiving the annual fee, not trying to force that issue. And by the end of the call, she just kind of came back and said, well, you know what, I'm not going to waive the fee, but I'm going to just give you $95. So worked out great, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of perspective and can help you out with some of your annual fee calls.
My name is Sandy. May I start with your first and last name, please?
Hi, Sandy. This is Erik Paquette.
Good morning, Mr. Paquette. I have Starwood business card information coming up for Green Growth Solutions, and how may I help out today?
Yeah, I'm calling because I just saw the annual fee post to my account, and I'm considering closing the account to avoid the fee. Just not really sure if it makes sense to keep it open at that price, but I wanted to see if there was anything you guys might be able to do to soften the blow a little bit.
You know what? There's a lot of fees and late fees, interest charges, things like that I can adjust, but a membership fee is not one. I would do it for you if I could, but I'm not able to.
I understand. Well, I guess then I wanted to just kind of talk over options, see what I could do. Is it possible to maybe convert this card into an account that doesn't have an annual fee?
You know what? With the cards, with our business cards that are co-branded, we actually don't have any way of changing this to another type of card, because this card is specific with for Starwood, where you earn those star points.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know that you have a lot of cards with American Express. You've got a Business Gold Rewards card, a Hilton Honors card, a Personal Platinum card, a Blue for Business card, an Amex Everyday Preferred card. You've got all these cards with us. Let me just see if there's anything at all that I can do as far as giving you just a courtesy credit. Let me see if I can do that.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much. Kind of a tough last couple months. So I'd really I think things will improve in the future. And I'd love to keep this card open.
I've just given you a courtesy credit for $95.
Oh, I appreciate that so much.
The fee still stays there.
Sure,
but on next month's statement, though, you'll see that credit for $95. And, you've been with us for 8 years already. Like I said, you've got so many relationships with American Express. We don't want to see you close any of them.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the help. Love to hear your guys' questions about annual fees, about managing your credit card accounts. We haven't talked in depth too recently about downgrading accounts, moving lines of credit. So if you have questions on the topic, I'd love to hear them, and we will jump to them on another show. That's going to do it for this week's episode, and I want to extend a heartfelt apology for not having an international jam last week. That was totally my fault, and I just completely failed to get something to our wonderful editor, Kate. So anyways, this week, the international jam is one that you may actually recognize. It's the title track or theme song from Netflix's tremendously popular original series Narcos, which is based on the story of Pablo Escobar right here in Medellin, Colombia. However, you don't actually get to hear any of the lyrics when you listen to the show. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next week. Cheers. Hey brothers, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Erik or AJ at abroaders.com. We will see you next week. Se arrepintió hasta mi ex. Ya niggas just front, ya don't flex. Y el pito al lado make your whole body